So this is Little Highway, also known as Divine Windex on the NA server. I'm currently ranked Plat 5 straight out promos. Taking a current break since I'm working on my computer trying to solve all the problems before I go into rank, so I don't want to end up blue screening or disconnecting during a game. Going to be reviewing another game here. I believe it's the Varus gameplay. Should get some good tips and advice to how to trade, hopefully better positioning. That seems to be one of the biggest points on Varus since he has no escapes. We'll be going over everything from runes, masteries, trading, last hitting, positioning, team fights, people who to focus. We'll try to go over warding, even suggesting things to your team to be more of a shot caller. So we'll go ahead and go right into it. I'm reviewing Cobalt. He seems to be on the Turkey server. If I recall, he's Silver 4 currently. I'm not sure how old this game is. I believe it's a couple weeks old. It should be regardless. I don't think they made any changes within this couple of weeks other than maybe like a missile width on his ult. So we're going to get started with his runes and mastery setup. We're going to start off his runes. It's a much quicker and easier thing to go over. He has 80 reds, armor yellows, MR blues. Very standard stuff. You should use this on every single ADC page. Then we have these strange AD quints. I don't really agree with this. I think you should take attack speed quints. It'd be much better in lane and outside of lane. The attack speed quints will help you trade, they'll help you last it, they'll help you push the wave, and they'll help you late game when you want to do more damage as well as just taking objectives. The reason being they'll help you early game is when you have, unless your ability can hit all 6 minions, I don't think it's worth this in any way, shape, or form. The only thing this would really do is help you last it under turret, and even then, it's something you should learn how to do without this, I guess you'd say, to call it a cap, because you'll lose a lot of trades early game, unless you're playing like maybe Graves or Lucian, who's a really heavy AD scaling, but even then you're still kind of getting your late game for it. I don't think I really agree with it too much. The attack speed will help you push the wave since you'll be able to get more autos in before your other opponent will, and it'll help you with trading because you'll be able to take an auto for an auto, as well as being able to blast it more easily since you'll be able to hit minion creeps more times, such as a range creep twice, once before it gets to turret and once it takes a turret shot. I think they're just much better, especially when it comes late game, since late game you shouldn't really be using your abilities that much. Late game you want to be using just auto attacks, because that's the point of an AD carry. All the items synergize well, where you'd be doing 1000 damage crits. So I think attack speed quints is what you want to go with if you want to make any kind of adjustment on this rune page. That's just my personal, if you think you can do well with this, go for it. But what I personally take is attack speed quints over all this. Alright, gonna go ahead and jump into the game. Oh, nope. We have to go to the masteries, my bad. Alright, so I believe this is an ADC page. It's listed ADC, it's active. 2190, very standard. 9 defense looks fine, takes all the points into champion, less damage. HP regen, flat health, and percent health. It's good stuff. Alright, gonna go into 21 defense. We have Butcher, Feast, Executioner, Dangerous Game. I think these are all great masteries. I take these out all the time on all my ADCs. Butcher, Feast gives you great lane sustain as well as from sustain after trades, and it helps you stay in the lane longer, farm up for your BF or whatever item you're looking for. We have Executioner, it's 5% more damage against targets who are 50% lower HP. It's a great thing to take. Dangerous Game, great. I think I love this point. It helps you pull off so many clutch plays or highlight reels that you see on all these videos and whatnot. And you can maybe start making your own. Such a great point. It literally, it will make or break tons of games. I can't even count how many it's done for me. Alright, gonna go ahead into Fury, Brute Force, Martial Mastery, very standard 80 ADC attack damage points. I'm ready to go. I'm going to skip these 3. We have Devastating Strikes, Frenzy, and Havoc. These are very common. I would take these all the time. We have Frenzy for attack speed on critical strikes, Havoc's for just percent increased damage, and Devastating Strike for percent penetration all around. And now we have Warlord, Blade Weaving, and Spell Weaving. Now ideally, what I do with every ADC is I take a point into Butcher, Feast, Executioner, all 3 points, Dangerous Game, all 4 points to Fury, 3 points to Brute Force, 1 point to Martial Mastery, 3 points to Devastating Strike, 1 point to Frenzy, and 1 point to Havoc. The only thing you'll ever see any deviation whenever I make my Mastery page is in the Spell Weaving, Blade Weaving, and Warlord. Reason being is I don't really care for Warlord. I don't think it's worth it. The only time I would see you even being remotely worth it is 3 points into it, because it's 5%. Even then, it's still whatever. 2% of 300 AD late game is like 6 attack damage. That's a long sword. Not even. That's half a long sword. That equates to about 200 gold. That's waiting until you're level 18, max 6 items. I don't like this point. I don't think it's worth it. So we have spell weaving and blade weaving. This is more a case-by-case situation depending on whoever the ADC is, such as like Ezreal, Vayne, Graves, etc., etc. If you're going to be auto-attacking a lot, I generally take spell weaving on all my ADCs because it stacks with basic attacks, so you can always get some attacks in and then use a spell, or the basic trade combo for most AD carries, regardless of the kit, would be an auto ability auto for a very bread and butter trading, I guess, trading routine or combo, whatever you want to call it. One time you would ever see blade weaving is if they have a lot of spell uses. They have low cooldowns and a lot of spells to utilize. So you usually see this on Trinity Force users, since they generally use spells a lot. So Trinity Force users being Corki, Ezreal, Kog'Maw. There's a couple others you could take it on. It's more of if you prefer it. I prefer only take it on people who I generally build Trinity Force, since they generally have a much more spell-based oriented kit, more of a AD caster. I guess you can maybe get away with it on Graves or some other champions. I think it's just safer to not take blade weaving altogether. It's not going to make or break anything. Oh, sorry about that. So if anything, I don't worry about blade weaving too much. It's not going to make or break your games. What will hurt you is not taking this point of devastating strike. You are losing a ton of penetration. You do not want to forego a point in this. You may see some pros do it. I don't agree with that. I really don't. Like the penetration for 680, that's just not worth it. There's nowhere else in the game where you'll get penetration outside from your masteries, percent penetration to be exact, outside of your masteries, and Last Whisper and Void Staff. And those are items you don't get till later into the game. So this is free penetration. Free. Why don't you take it? You can build AD where else you want. There's tons of AD items, but there's only 2 penetration items. I don't know how else to make this case, but please take 3 points in Devastating Strike. It helps you so much. Alright, let's go ahead and get started to this Varus gameplay. Luckily, I was able to get a glimpse of the matchup since he started the recording before he jumped into the game. It looks like to be a Thresh Varus versus Nami Jinx. Alright, so this is going to be a very rough lane if played, if the other team plays well. We also have the junglers, which we need to take a look at, is Lee Sin versus, I don't know, this guy's unloaded, which is worrisome. Let's see what else we have, anything else to take in consideration. They do have a Rise. He is called the anti-AD carry because he is a point-and-click lockdown and will burst you while being tanky all the same time. He does have TP, so he may TP into your lane early game. Is extremely unlikely. Rise takes times to scale. He generally uses TP on himself for 1 or 2 times before he decides to use it elsewhere. So when you keep an eye out for those TPs, you're going to watch out for Zed roams. Zed tends to roam fairly often, especially against Veigar. If this is post-nerfed Veigar, I expect this to be an extremely losing matchup, and this Veigar is going to die a lot, and this Zed's going to be a huge problem. That's what I see happening. Alright, let's go to start the game.
İşim henüz bitmedi.
Very basic stand-up. Dawn's Blade for sustain, lifesteal, and potion. Picking up the war.
Sihirdar Vadisi'ne hoş geldin.
I still have no idea who the enemy jungler is. These are things that you need to think about when you start a game. You want to think about what are your lane advantages, what's your, I guess, win condition is a term you'll hear very often in a higher competitive play. What is your win condition for this lane? Your win condition. So you are Varus Thresh versus a
Bana hedef göster.
Jinx Nami.
Minyonların harekete
Looking at just
geçmesine
the
30
AD
saniye.
aspect, Jinx scales really hard in the late game. She does not scale that well into mid game. She has an okay
Yapmam
early
gerekeni
game
yapıyorum.
versus Varus, who has a okay, strong, early game, mid game, and a mediocre
Sadece
late game.
ödlekler kaderden kaçar.
Preference. Reason being, he has a weak late game is his short range.
Minyonlar harekete geçti.
The only thing he provides is his ulti. So he has very little self peel outside of his ulti
Zamanın
while being
kısıtlı.
short ranged. So I think he's weaker late game. So our main goal here is to hopefully not make this game last for 45 minutes or everyone's 6 items, because you're
Kan
generally
dökmenin
gonna
bir
lose.
bedeli var.
So Jinx will out DPS you. Now for lane, we have Thresh, who's a very kill-oriented lane. It's pretty much the only thing he really will provide is getting you kills or saving your butt.
Amacım belli.
Now Nami, she's a very sustained, poke-oriented lane, as well as she is a kill lane if played correctly, but much more difficult. So our goal here is going to be, we're going to have to let Thresh do basically all the work. Nami, what she will want to do is going to walk up. She will throw her heal onto herself. Her heal will then bounce from herself and do damage to you. And if you try to trade into that, you will lose that trade regardless. Or she'll throw it onto you, deal damage, and heal herself for more. She's a very, very rough opponent to play against in the early laning phase. She kind of falls off outside of lane, depending on the player. So what we will be looking for here is hopefully to be able to poke out the Jinx with Qs, since she's also immobile in the sense that she has no escapes, as well as not really focusing too much on poking, but not that much. And all we can really do is hope for a hook on the Nami. But thankfully it's Thresh, not Blitzcrank, so he has other options, other tools to utilize other than just his hook. But this is more or less a lane setup for the supports. It's gonna be a rough lane. I still don't know where the enemy jungler is. It looks like someone got a deport in during the black screen abyss. Alright. So enemy laner got there first. They're trying to get the push for level 2. Since you are you generally want to walk in. Looks like you should get you want to get that level 2. You want to get that level. You should hit her right here. She's Alright. Keep pushing.
Kaybedecek bir şey olmayandan kork.
Yep, someone is not used for free. That bush should be able to avoid.
Sadece ödlekler
I have to wait, I believe, 20 seconds, 16 seconds until it hooks come back. Alright. You don't really want to be trading here because you would lose since Bush has no cooldowns currently. Flay is 9 seconds flat all the time unless he has CDR on him. It doesn't change with levels. His hook will go down in levels. So I think at level 1 is like 20 seconds and 22 seconds, and it gets reduced to 40 seconds when he needs it. You're doing well so far. That was a good chunk of damage on
kurtuluş yok.
Still don't know who the enemy jungler is. I have no idea. I haven't really paid attention too much. I don't know who. whoever you're trading with, and whenever you're farming for next.
Bir rakip katledildi.
Looks like the rest of this is actually quick
Bir saldırgan
İşin henüz bitmedi.
So you're doing really well. Don't really know all that much, but it's fine. Just sacrifice farm.
Sonlarını getireceğim.
Because you're both low. You have enough for your BF sword. I'd ping for like assist me, but hopefully play the
Bana
way
karşı gelene acırım.
so you're gonna
Amacım belli.
This is asking for I don't know who this is, but this is easy pickings. You have no wards up.
Yapmam gerekeni yapıyorum.
bir rakip katledildi.
This is giving me like a
Yapayalnızım.
closer to the bubble. Are they?
Hiçbir şey olmayan.
You went back here. This is jungle middle.
Oklarım daima hedefini bulur.
Gets delivered. Well, here's Italy. There's that guy. Let's see if he doesn't do anything. Go away. I don't know why she walked away.
Kan dökmenin bir bedeli var.
So it looks like you got away with not being pushed over. Alright, looks like we're rushing IE first. It's a goodbye on Varus. You can also go Brutalizer to Yomu's first as well.
Yapayalnızım.
We bought a sword back. That was 450 gold. You only bought a potion. I think you're in for a pink ward. Really to help avoid your bottom side jungle, especially to avoid ganks as well as from Zed and Nidalee.
Bana hedef göster.
Could have gone boots instead of that dagger. Dodge your bubble.
Yapmam gerekeni yapıyorum.
You're split right now. You're fighting.
Seriye bağlı.
So we're 3-0. We're pretty low in CS. So it looks like the marker is about 10 minutes. For 10 minute, you want your CS to be 60 CS bare minimum. ideally about 80 CS. And that's where you want to be looking for. You want to be looking for 60 to 80 CS at 10 minutes. So whenever you're last hitting, that's a good, I guess, benchmark you should be shooting for is 80 CS 10 minutes. And I don't mean 80 CS every 10 minutes. That's 80 CS at 10 minutes. And that's just because of the early laning phase. You may hear some people talking about trying to get 100 CS within 10 minutes.
The Rocky Mountain.
That's not something realistically possible inside of a
14,000 feet above sea
ranked game
level.
against other players.
Just you and
generally get
nature.
constantly harassed.
And your music.
So,
Listen without an internet connection.
you know,
Try
other people
Spotify
are playing
Premium
pretty
free.
poorly, and you're able to abuse your early game of
Driving home?
pretty easy.
Cooking? Getting ready
So
to
you have
go
enough for a
out?
BF sword.
Start Spotify Radio. All
You
you
can
have
push
to do
this
is
one
hit
up and
play.
go back for a
We'll
second.
play you the songs you know and songs you don't. What you love.
Well, Rex, you first.
College is a time when you decide what you want to be. An economics major. Or DJ? Why not both? Premium is just $4.99 a month for college students. Just hit the banner and drop some serious math.
Kan dökmenin bir bedeli var.
Gotta get that pickaxe. Alright. Dragon's Lord. Like we're doing Dragon's Zed just doesn't seem to care that Rygar is roaming around getting all this stuff.
Sadece ödlekler kaderden kaçar. Looks like Zed's focused on Thresh. Our goal may be to try to defeat. Probably got in the way. Not. Or if you decide, hopefully that's Sadece ödlekler kaderden kaçar. Sonlarını getireceğim. talk about that purchase. So you decide off for that crit cloak and finish off your boots. A lot of pros do not like buying, I believe the item is specifically called Agility Cloak. It provides, I believe, 15% crit chance for 730 gold. What most people tend to do, especially before the Sag Shiv PD changes, was if they had an option to buy that crit cloak, Agility Cloak, they would often opt to buy Avarice Blade instead. So that was an option you could have done there. You could have bought an Avarice Blade instead, gone to your Sag Shiv earlier, gotten your 2 power spike quicker. So I don't know if I would do that crit cloak buy. I think Avarice Blade might have been better here. It will help you scale quicker, especially depending on how much, especially since with how much you backed on. Of course, if you just do not like Static Shiv at all, that is pure preference. I just think crit cloak in general is pretty awful to buy unless you're saving up for last not Last Whisper, Phantom Dancer. So let's see if we're we're not gonna buy potions or Pink Ward still. We have yet to change our trinket. We're almost level 9. I think it's okay that you haven't changed your trinket just yet. Yeah, so we're getting close. We could, if we wanted to, shove out the lanes, attempt a turret so we could maybe help other lanes. Sure, you can say, oh, I wouldn't have gotten those kills, but you also just gave a shutdown. I know this not bad as well. So, basically, your entire team is back. 4 of you guys just died for killing. I'm not sure if you killed the Nidalee. I don't remember off the top of my back, but I know you killed the. You killed the Nidalee. You killed the Zed. You killed the. One of them got away. I can't remember. I have very poor memory. So it was like 3 for 4. You were ahead, so they got more gold out of that. Even more so, since they got 4 kills off of you and shut down goals. So that's not worth it. When you are ahead, you want to play a little bit more conservative since you have a bounty on your head. Literally, the game puts a bounty on your head. They will give more gold for killing you when you are ahead. I'm not quite sure if you won this game, but I didn't get to see anything on team fights and positioning too much. We saw some decent positioning, especially in the early lane phase where we had some pretty good trades on with Varus and whatnot. A little bit easier if we had some attack speed coins in the second half, so we can get some of the last hits. So the last fight was a very, very case in point scenario of overstaying. We overstayed, we paid for it. What you should have done was just back. There was nothing else to take there. Dragon wasn't up, their blue buff wasn't up. there was no objectives there to take. You could maybe try to say, I was trying to get turret. There was no way you were going to get that turret. There's not any hell unless that enemy team decide, hey, let's just give up turret. There's no way you got that turret. You just should have backed, spent your gold, everyone would have lived, and there would have been no gold change. The enemy team would still have been weaker, you'd still have been stronger, and fine. So, I guess that's the end of it. You said there were some complications with the computer, so I guess this would be the ending of this analysis. If you have any comments, suggestions, I upped my volume a little bit. My volume is adjusted a little bit, so I don't know how it's going to sound. Thank you for watching. I hope it was informative. Take a look into maybe looking into the next game. Okay?